Okay everyone, we are starting our demonstration on our interior and exterior spaces for our drawing, bringing our thumbnail to life. So I have all of my art supplies with me. I've got my Vine charcoal, my kneaded eraser, and my chamois. I also have next to me my thumbnail, okay? That's what we use to draw from. I'm also sitting in the room so that I can see the imagery as well. But what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I have all of that laid out so that it's easier for me to map. Now, normally we would start our drawings with the rule of 3 grid, but that's unnecessary because I have my thumbnail, okay? So what I do instead is I start finding the corner of my interior space. It's gonna look a little bit like a rule of 3 grid regardless, but we both know that it's not, or we all know that it's not. So what I'm doing is I'm finding all of the verticals that I have in my image, okay? So I always keep this with me. And then I'm gonna start kind of finding some of my lines that go back in space. Now we talked about this during the demonstration where we kind of really focus on kind of laying in things quickly and using a lot of measurement and perspective lines, right? So you're gonna see me kind of draw through objects to start laying space in. What I'm doing is I'm just trying to find all my basic shapes still. It's gonna feel a lot, almost identical to drawing your thumbnail realistically. But on a larger scale, and that's why having that thumbnail already drawn is really helpful for kind of getting objects down in space. So you can see that I'm gonna kind of try to get this to the same point that I got my thumbnail to. But as I'm working, I'm going to also start using kind of value, right? To build my drawing up a little bit faster than I would otherwise. Because what I'm doing is I'm trying to really lay space in. So I'm going to do things like kind of block out imagery. Now this should come together a lot quicker because you've already drawn it once, okay? But what you're doing when you do the thumbnail is it kind of assists in helping you understand what it is that you're hoping to get from your imagery, all right? Now, if you're really worried about getting straight lines, notice that I move my whole arm and not my wrist, okay? I'm not sitting and trying to draw a straight line. What I'm doing instead is I'm taking my charcoal and I'm moving my entire arm up the surface of the page. Okay? By moving my whole body, I'm gonna start laying in space a lot faster, all right? And you can see I'm quickly laying in value, which I didn't do as much in the thumbnail. And I'm gonna keep moving my whole arm through this. Now again, it's because it's partially really important to me to get the mood across of a piece, okay? Now I'm trying to convey a space that's very comfortable, a space that's very calming. So I want to kind of get like a really nice sense of light coming through and down, okay? So that I'm really illuminating the space that I sit in. I'm going to start kind of laying in some extras. Along the side. This space is going to be dark because it's not my area of focus. The chair is going to be my area of focus. So again, working very quickly to lay in my shapes. Start putting in some of these little details. Like this plant on the wall. I'm going to kind of exaggerate a little bit, because what's going to happen is when I draw in this space, it's going to kind of do a little bit of a back and forth. Draw in. Some of my objects and my patterns. Now again, what's really helpful is I've already done a lot of this work because I've already done my thumbnail, right? So I already kind of know what's gonna go where. I'm just gonna try to work quickly to create kind of a mood for this drawing, okay? Using my tools, the edges of them. I'm going to kind of try to create a very soft space down here. Okay. And again, darkening out some spots. I'm just hinting kind of at what's going to be happening in these areas, right? Because as I move forward, that's when things like my texture and my mark making are going to become really important. And again, I want you to really think about what kind of a mood you're trying to convey. And if you want this to be kind of abstracted in any way or feel more realistic. And I want you to really lay objects in space. And you can see how quickly this comes together for me, right? As I'm like working towards building up my space. Now there's a little restaurant behind over here. I'm gonna start kind of laying in my lines for that. Just kind of like a shorthand. And there's trees outside. I've accidentally made them look more like fire than trees. But what I'm doing is I want to hint at like what's in this exterior space too, okay? Getting it to a pretty good stopping point so far. I'm hoping that you're able to kind of see how quickly I'm building together and how much it's really looking based on my image. Whoop. Right side up, okay? So you can see they're almost identical. The proportions have changed a little bit, but I'm able to draw a lot faster because this is so mapped in space. Now the reason I'm not focusing on things like the plants are because when I'm rendering this up more fully, what's going to happen is I'm going to want to draw from background to foreground. That way I'm not erasing. It's the same reason that we draw on the folds of our fabric before we put the pattern in, okay? You want to kind of work the drawing up as a whole, and you want to work up from your furthest space back to your foreground. All right. Well, I look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow, and we're going to draw on this some more together. All right. Thank you.